been very sensitive, and is always getting sick. Has a cycle of every 6 to 3 months of getting very sick and then having to be on antibiotics, getting well, and then constantly reoccurring. So I was wondering if there's any agreement between all of us, the family, with her, or
so always there is. We assume you mean what is the agreement?
Yeah, and if I don't know, how can I help her with this, or how can it sit peacefully with me? I need to know.
All right, one moment. The original agreement that we perceived was for this, in your terms, condition to exist approximately up to the age of 7. Perhaps between 7 years of age in your counting and 10 years of age in your counting, there would be a type of assimilation in this being, in this child, that will allow them to balance and blend some of the energy they have brought with them from other lives that they are still working through. You can be of assistance in accelerating this energy to some degree, if you will, by laying the child down, by envisioning a blue energy field around the child and envisioning in that field a doorway and a connection back through outside what you would call your physical reality to the non-physical realm, back where and when the agreement was made. And in that sense, allow your unconditionally loving energy to be added to that field, added to that agreement, add your awareness to that agreement, and accelerate the time frame of that agreement. Within that energy field, project from your imagination that child now exists, even though in your terms they are but 3 1/2 of your years of age. That child now exists in that energy field as 7 years of age, 10 years of age, and do it that way. 7 first, then 10. You follow me?
Yeah.
Take it linearly. Otherwise, it may be too confusing for the mentality.
Okay.
Project the child up simply by sending the essence of the energy of the idea that will be blended by the time the child is physically 7. Allow the child to feel that energy now, and allow the child more recognition that they can remember they have been born into a world that does not have to insist any longer that things take as long as they used to, because time is not what it used to be. You can learn now with that child to redefine time. Redefine it completely, utterly, in the moment, in the now. Experience the idea of the blending at 7. Experience the idea of the understanding at 10. And in that way, you may, if you wish, briefly take it a little bit further and project very gently just a general essence of all the patterns that will have been laid by the time the child is 30 to 33. So that the child will understand that in that time period they will have laid the foundation for the activities they are going to experience from 33 on. Gently, you are going to be reminding the child that they knew what they are doing, they are working things through, they are actually very strong, but you can aid and assist in accelerating that process a little bit by allowing time to not be what it used to be, so that it does not have to take as much time for the child to process. You understand?
Yeah.
This will allow the releasing to occur in a very accelerated manner. You follow me?
Yeah, I think so.
What do you think you need clarification of?
I just... I'll just need to hear it again.
One moment. If you wish, as was suggested, call upon the assistance of both, through that doorway, not only your guide, the child's guide, but also the dolphins. All right?
Okay.
Call upon their assistance. Imagine that all the blended energy of all those beings is in that energy bubble. And then think the idea of the blending of 7, the blending of 10, and the understanding in that way of all those ages up to 33 and the momentum generated. Clear the channel in that sense. You will have all the help you need, all right?
Okay. Thanks for
Thank
that.
you.
Can I ask one more question about a dream I had about 3 weeks ago? Anyway, I was dreaming this dream, and then in a point of it, I stopped and said, I don't want to dream this anymore. And suddenly I appeared at the footsteps of an escalator, and there was my husband and myself and a woman there that was like a tour guide or something.
Yes, yes,
And
yes. Very good, very good. You are taking yourself to a new level entirely. Lucid dreaming, being aware that you are dreaming when you are dreaming, allows you to know you are creating your reality on all levels, and that being, now that you had opened yourself up to that recognition, was capable of being seen and perceived by you, and there to guide you to the next level. For you were in the astral realm, and that was one of your guides.
Yeah, because after she led me through a maze of different escalators, and I could never remember the dream from the point of stepping on the escalator to the end. I just remember being at the base of an escalator and then getting off of it and going on to the next one. But I awoke from, then suddenly
less analysis, more trust.
Okay.
Confusion in that sense is being used to relax your analytical mind. Since you have no hope of figuring out where you are, then you stop trying to and let yourself get to where you're going.
Right. When I woke up from the dream,
Many of you have those escalators, do you?
Suddenly I was put back into where I left off in the dream, but it was, I controlled the scenario a little differently, and it worked out really great. But I woke up like singing or vibrating, having these like tones, and I could feel myself waking up, but my body wasn't completely awake, and I could consciously recall having to like ooh, or do these tones or something to like pull out or something.
Yes, very good. Because then you now have been allowed the opportunity to be very aware of the fact that all physical reality is the product of vibration. And now you are very aware that with that vibration, you create the physical reality. You had to exercise your conscious control over that reality to create it. You are becoming aware of the fact that the creation of reality is now a conscious act, not an unconscious one.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you for waking up into a new world altogether. I mean that literally.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Good day to you. Good morning. Sherry.
Hello, my friend.
And to you.
How is everything?
Perfect, and you?
Perfect.
Oh, thank you.
It's been a while since I've spoken with you here, but a friend and myself have been transmitting telepathically to you over the past week.
Telepathically.
Telepathically. I was wondering if are we coming through at all?
In a sense, you are feeding into the mainstream energy of which our civilization is entirely involved in that sense. I do not have to have specific, always, recognition of the ideas of specific communication. If and when such recognition is necessary on a specific level, usually it will occur when and where it needs to. But we do feel the addition of the energy always, the addition of the general energy, and the involvement and intermeshment, if I may, of your society without. We are not focusing on the specifics of the individual persona. We are focusing upon the general addition of energy.
I understand completely what you mean. That experience happens, I think, all the time. Yes, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Last week we took a trip to your spacecraft. And in that journey, I noticed a couple of things that I wanted to ask about.
All right.
First of all, I noticed that there was some sort of a hand salutation of some sort. Could you, was that just a greeting? I mean, is that what it was?
It was, in a sense, simply welcome, opening of hearts.
It was very nice. And there was also a star-shaped crystal formation. Now, I'm just, this is what I envisioned, and I'm
right ahead.
Trying to align that or anything.
Almost every single individual that has taken that journey with us through the aspects of their mentality has arrived in what will be extremely colloquially called the chapel. Now, this contains a crystalline structure that each of you will interpret in your own way, and that crystalline structure, in communing with it, will put you in touch directly with all that is. We refer to it as a chapel simply because of that connotation, that analogy. It is not literally a chapel as you understand the idea, but it is a chamber, it contains that crystal, and in communing through that crystal, you open up to all of all that is.
Oh boy, that fits in so perfectly. The next question I was going to ask you, or the next item, was I envisioned some kind of rejuvenation chamber, and I saw your companions walking in, and they would just stand there, and I don't know why I just got the idea that they were rejuvenating themselves somehow.
In a sense, for communing with all that is, always keeps us in the now, and in a sense that is rejuvenating. It forms what you might call an active stasis, lack of aging.
Oh. Ooh. That would be handy, huh?
Anytime you live in the now, you become ageless. For you do not create as much time.
Yes, and you know, it's also interesting too, because you've said many times as well, you've tried to tell me, and I've tried to apply it, the lack of the finite quality in life, the no beginning, no end. And if you really truly can remove yourself from the time schedules and the time framework, and think of and not be waiting for things to always happen, waiting for results, you know, then I feel like that is really one of the keys to approaching fourth density. Yeah,
and that is what allows it to accelerate most quickly. For when you're not looking for it, it turns up sooner.
That's really true.
Because you are not creating as much time in between where you think you are and where you imagine it is. It is only the creation of that time that places it out there.
Right.
Instead of right here.
Yes. Oh, boy.
Again, it is the analogy of having the two gears. You decide how much of a length of a connector rod there is between the two, because there doesn't have to be any. It can be two sides of the same coin, the same gear.
I see. That would help greatly.
Then do it that way.
I'm learning how to apply that.
Yes, you are. And you are doing brilliantly.
Thank you.
That goes for all of you.
This is a great group, too.
Yes.
I have one more question.
All right.
Since we are accustomed to a certain set of problems and or challenges as third density beings...
Speak for yourself.
I'll call them challenges.
All right.
Is that better? Okay, if as third density beings approaching fourth density...
You are neither third nor precisely fourth yet. But you are more fourth than third.
Oh. All right.
You are in the transition state. You are limbo beings.
So we are in the midst of the transformation. We are neither specifically one nor the other.
Very good. You are the idea of the transformation itself. Therefore, not precisely either one or the other yet.
Interesting. Okay.
Does that assist you?
Yes, it does. I have one more quick question. I know everybody wants to ask questions. It's regarding the seminar, and I wanted to thank you. I haven't had a chance to thank you for the seminar that I participated in.
Yes, you have. By doing what excites you in life. That is our thanks.
The one thing I need to clarify were the specific or the relatively specific effects of the different colored energies that we experienced. I believe they were red, blue, gold, white, and green. And specifically, the reason I'm asking is because after the seminar, I got a little ill.
Yes, sometimes many of you will.
That's what I
in processing what you may call the toxins out of you.
Uh-huh. So it's emerging, or old problems that are
In a
coming
sense,
up or
yes,
something?
that is all. It gets a bit heady for a while, but it clears out.
Okay.
That is all there is to it.
Now, the blue energy that we were
will
doing
leave that up to you. For now, trust your imagination. Whatever you seem drawn to, work with it in whatever way it seems to come most naturally.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bashar. Good night.
If you wish, that is your entitlement. In recently speaking with a member of your society, we did pull forth out of our interaction the recognition that we can now find of great, perhaps, benefit in sharing at this time with you, of the idea of the degree to which you have control over the linkages and connections of every circumstance and situation in your life to every other circumstance and situation in life itself. And by drawing what you may call a mechanical analogy, it may assist in forming a picture in your mentality that is most conducive to a complete and simple fundamental understanding of the way in which the mechanism works that allows you to know you are in control and that all circumstances are linked and connected to all other circumstances, an idea I have discussed many times with you. But perhaps the simplicity of this mechanical analogy will further illuminate the idea. Imagine, if you will, that each and every circumstance, situation, relationship, an event in your life is like what you call a wheel before you, a gear, if you wish. And let us say you have many such gears poking into your particular sphere of influence, your particular immediate reality. These gears can be seen to be opportunities or circumstances that are going on in your life, ideas that you are aware of that exist in your reality, that you can act upon, can do something about, if you wish, if you prefer to. Now envision that while you may have your own bubble of reality, and these gears may be poking through the skin of that bubble to you, that they are connected to a rod, a shaft, if you will. And that these rods, these shafts, in proceeding through the skin of your bubble, to the outside of your bubble, into other reality bubbles, all the potential circumstances and situations that there can be in all levels of dimensional reality, they also, on the other end of that shaft, have a gear, a corresponding gear, like the one that is in your bubble. Now recognize that these gears are connected to other gears, which are connected to shafts, which are connected to other gears, in many, in fact all, different directions and planes of existence. So simply recognize that when you turn any of the gears in your bubble, all the other gears are turning. Now, even though this may not be literal in terms of a mechanical structure, it is literal in terms of the effect being the same as if it were a literal mechanical structure. When you turn any gear, any situation, any opportunity in any direction that exists within your bubble, you move all other gears. Now, some of those gears in your terms may be bigger, some may be smaller, so some may move more infinitesimally than others, some may move greatly. But you move them all nonetheless. So recognize what this means to you. You do not have to go far and wide searching for the ways to control those outside gears. Searching and searching for years to gain control over gears in that sense which you believe are so very far removed from your immediate reality. You do not have to go searching because you are already in control of them. All the gears, all the situations that poke into your sphere already connects you to all those other gears. Turn them any way you wish, it will turn all the other gears. Now, many of you may then find that by this analogy, what will allow you to understand that as you move, polarity is balanced always throughout the universe by everything that you do, is once again to understand this as a mechanical analogy. For if you have a gear on your end of the shaft and a gear on the other end of the shaft, if you, to your perception in facing the gear, turn it, let us say, 1/4 turn to the right, recognize that the other hypothetical individual on the other end will see that gear turn a 1/4 turn to their left. You understand the perspective? As such, they are moving the same way, but from one perspective they are turning to your right, and from the other perspective they are turning to your left. This is a mechanical analogy of why balance is maintained in the universe, because everything is connected. Literally. So as you make any change in the format that is indicative of your immediate reality, there must be changes in the formats of all other realities. All other realities to maintain the balance of the changes you have made. It must be so. Even though, as we have said, this is not necessarily a literal blueprint of the structure of the physical universe, in effect, it is literal. Because you get the same effect as if it were truly, literally, a mechanical structure in that analogy. So simply recognize, therefore, that you have all the controls right there within your bubble. The circumstances that make themselves obvious to you are your gears to move around. And you can then know that by simply turning those gears, because of the linkages and the connections to all other gears, you, from being just right where you are, affect the entire universe. You have an impact on all the way the rest of the universe shapes itself to be. That is also why you have the best control, I shall use your term best for now, the best control when you remain in the present, where all of your control gears are. When you go outside that sphere, looking in the past, looking in the future, looking hither, thither, as you say, and yon, then you are ignoring the fact that within your own bubble, I shall say, of reality, all the control mechanisms are present and at hand, literally. And they are simply the opportunities themselves that present themselves to you in that reality, the ones that represent the things that excite you the most, as we have discussed with you many times. Those are the control gears. And when you act upon them, when you turn them in the direction you prefer, positive, negative, right, left, if you wish, that determines utterly the balance that is created in the remainder, so to speak, of the universe, in the reflection of the universe. For the reflection that is out there are all the other gears that must, by definition, respond to the turn of your gear. So what you do determines the feedback you create, the circumstances you create, the environment you create in the reality around you, because you are turning the gear. It is that simple. Keep it that simple. This simple mechanical analogy will allow you to understand that you have infinite control from right where you are to what you perceive to be the infinite reaches of the universe. For none of that is really, in your terms, truly out there. It is all right here. You have pushed the illusion out there to make it seem as if you are operating within space, a volume of space. But that is simply the illusion of this particular physical universe. It is all right here. And in a sense, truly, it is all one gear with two sides. So you can recognize the analogy is exactly the same if you remove the linkage and simply allow that far gear to simply be the other side of the gear you have your hand on. You get the same effect. Turn to the right, somebody standing on the other side still sees it turning to the left. It is the same gear. Truly, it is the same gear. Allow yourselves to know you are in the driver's seat. You have all the controls right at home. Here, now, in the present. We thank you. Briefly, and for a moment specifically, wizard.
Yes.
Strawberry, no.
Okay.
This is a specific connotation, even though you are all wizards.
Here.
The stars, during that convocation, will be sending specific crystalline vibrations, crystalline patterns of energy that can be interpreted and channeled through those beings in that place at that timing for the laying down of a crystalline sheath, a crystalline cover, a crystalline pattern, a crystalline blanket, if you will. It will be the taking of the heaven template, the laying upon it upon the pliable land of your earth in that area, to allow the pliable land of that earth in your area to form and match the crystalline template of the stars of the heavens. You follow me?
Yes.
Transmit that idea. For now, that will be sufficient.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this timing, we extend our appreciation once again, always and forever, most deeply to each and every one of you individually and collectively, for allowing us to experience this gift of your willingness and your interaction, this gift of your consciousness, for being willing to function as the ambassadors of your society and allowing us to function as the ambassadors of ours. And we simply ask you now, how may I serve you?
Good evening, Bashar.
And to you.
About 2 weeks ago, I had a dream that I awoke from feeling like it had a profound meaning for me. But the symbols and the images drifted away, and I can only remember a little bit of it. In the dream, in the beginning of it, I remember being in a place where I was watching the night sky and saw space vehicles doing like a demonstration for me.
Nice.
And I had a wonderful feeling at that time. And then further on in the dream, under the same sky, there was an Indian. Now, I think in my mind it was a Hopi Indian, but I'm not sure if I'm just reading that into it or not.
It will be close enough. It will have been, in a sense, an interpretation. There will be some literal connection to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it will be representative of energy that they are very, very, very familiar with.
Mm-hmm. And they were doing a ceremony, and in that ceremony the name Ma Da'ab was given to me. It had some relationship to my husband, and that name just stuck with me, and I wondered if you have any comment on what that's about.
What has changed in your life in these last 2 of your weeks, most drastically physically?
Well, my health's getting a little better.
All right. Then that is some of the conversation and some of the information, some of the recognition of very ancient connections for you. For now, you are, in your terms, in the middle of a process which we cannot really interrupt, and besides which, that energy that you perceived is the one, in your terms, handling this interaction for you in your dream state. Let us for now say, to some degree, it carries some Kachina lineage, some Kachina energy, though there are many other connections, many other dimensions of connections to ancient times, even preceding what you may call your recognizable world history.
Mm-hmm.
Allow yourself to simply continue to feel the depth, the thickness of the flow of that energy of communication between you. There are many more things which have yet, in your terms, to be revealed to you before it will begin to truly make itself an obvious pattern in your physical reality, which is what we perceive will be the typical way it will tend to come out, rather than maintaining conscious recollection of any so-called conversation. The patterns in your physical reality, your attitude, the way you do things, your habits will change and begin to alter most drastically, and it is those changes that will allow you to see, physically feel, and experience the results of the conversations you are having. For you are in many ways beginning to identify with a very old self in a very new way, and you are going to begin to be that old self in a new way, completing a circle that was begun, in your terms, begun a long time ago. For now, that is what we can share with you. Otherwise, we would be interrupting a flow that is still ongoing.
Thank you.
In this particular case.
I have another question. What is the origin of moldavite tektite, and how can it best be used to increase multidimensional awareness?
Well, I have to some degree indicated that since it is in your terms green in coloration, it to some degree represents the dimensional gateway of your fourth density transformation, since emerald is the crystalline format representative of the fourth density Earth in that way. But this has in your terms obviously extraterrestrial connections. Some of it in your terms is an Orion connection, but not directly. Much of it is actually what you would term a Maldek connection. The planet that was in your solar system destroyed, the planet that served as a temporary base between the ancient Orion incarnations and what you now call your present Earth incarnations prior to what you call Atalantean times. You follow me?
Yeah.
So it is now in raining to your planet, in being discovered upon your planet as having reigned. It is elements of the transformation, perhaps with some specific frequencies that are conducive to certain individuals who are very strongly connected to that particular flow or reincarnational path all the way back to Orion. But Orion energy is not the only thing connected to it. There are many other pathways. In general, it is representational of the gate of transformation, specifically with regard to the doorways that are opening between your world and extraterrestrial community.
And is there something you can do with it in terms of meditation or techniques or size or shape of it?
Use your imagination. For your energy will steer you unerringly in the way that it will work best for you. Trust it.